Most shop builds start with thousands of dollars in cabinets. Mine actually started with my in-laws remodeling their kitchen. These cabinets were headed for the trash, but I couldn't let that happen. I sanded, repainted, and installed them. And that's how this miter saw station and workbench started. Once the paint dried, it was time to build the tops. I made custom plywood tops, added maple edge banding, then routed out the tops to insert T-track. This paired nicely with the inset miter station, perfect for clamping and adding stop blocks for repeatable cuts. So if you're building a shop on a budget, this is 100% worth considering. Alright, before we go any further, let's talk materials. For the top layer, I'm using 3/4 inch birch plywood. This will be the visible finished surface. Underneath that, I'm just using a 3/4 inch builder's grade plywood. It's cheaper, but it's doing the same structural job. Alright, sheets are going on the bench. Let's start cutting them to size. Here's a good alternative if you don't have a track saw. You can make one yourself. Basically with these two pieces of plywood, I just screwed these two pieces together. This is a factory edge. You want to make sure this piece is really straight. So once you get your straight edge, attach it to this piece. You then use the fence of your saw, run it across, get your next cut, and that'll get you the parallel face from here to here. Then you just line up your track on your mark, clamp it down, and you have a easy DIY track saw. So DeWalt, if you're watching this, I need a track saw. And now to set the depth for my saw blade, I want to turn this piece around. I bring this to the back because I'm going to have my saw set on top of this piece. So the depth will have to go through this layer and then also this layer. It's important with doing this step that you want to make sure your battery's out. You don't want to actually hit your trigger when you're trying to adjust the blade and cut yourself.
You know what? You're making it sound kind of lame. So skip ahead to the really dangerous stuff.
Now I'll ensure that I cut through my bottom piece here, but it won't go too deep where I cut into my workbench. Now because this side I don't have anything to clamp to, this is the bottom side of the finished top. I'm going to put a screw in this side just to hold it in place so I can make my cut. Alright, for the top of the miter saw inset, I'm driving screws up from the bottom layer into the top layer. I don't want any visible fasteners on the surface. This way the top stays clean, smooth, and professional looking, but still locked together solid. Next, I'm cutting an access opening in the back of the inset for the power cord and dust collection hose. I'm making it wide on purpose. When the saw pivots for angle cuts, I don't want anything catching or binding. After that, I'll hit the edges with a round over bit on the router. No sharp corners, cleaner look. And honestly, it gives me an excuse to fire up the router. Next up, cutting the framing for the miter saw inset. Alright, now it's time to install the framing for the miter saw section. Because I want the base of my miter saw to sit perfectly flush with my workbench, I need to frame this section lower than my final target height. You can always shim the saw up, but if you frame it too high, there's no easy way to make it lower without tearing things apart. So give yourself room to adjust. Alright, let's keep going. Now I'm attaching the framing for the miter saw station. You'll notice I'm setting this slightly below the line I marked earlier. That's intentional. Again, I'd rather leave myself room to shim the saw perfectly flush than frame it too high and be stuck with tearing it out later. Yeah, I probably should have added these pocket holes before installing the framing. But we're already here, so I'm drilling them after the fact.
Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
This isn't the easiest way to do it, but I've officially drilled pocket holes at every angle imaginable. Now I'll attach the framing to the top using pocket screws and my overly complicated pocket holes. Before I fasten the tops together on the left and right side of the miter saw station, there's something important to think about. I'm going to route out a section for the T-track, which means I have to be very aware of the screw placement. The last thing I want to do is run a router bit straight into a hidden screw and turn this into a very expensive mistake. So first, I'll measure exactly where I want the T-track to go, mark that location, and make sure my screws stay well clear of that area. A little extra planning here can save the entire project. Before installing the left and right sides of the workbench, I need to add stretchers around the perimeter of the cabinets. This gives me a solid structure to fasten the tops to. Again, I don't want any exposed screws on the surface, so the tops will be secured from underneath instead. I'll repeat the process for the other side. Alright, the tops are finally in place, but I don't want that raw exposed plywood edge showing. I'm going for a more professional finished look. So for this build, I'm adding maple edging. To keep costs down, I'm using rough sawn maple instead of pre-milled boards. I actually made a separate video showing the jig I built to make this whole process easier. If you want the detailed breakdown on how to build and use this jig, I'll link it down in the description. First thing, I'm using the jig to plane one side of the maple to get it nice and smooth. Once I have a clean reference face, I'll remove the maple from the jig, flip the board over, and plane the opposite side to parallel the two faces. That gives me two flat, consistent surfaces to work with. With both faces smooth, I'll put the board back on the jig and run it through the table saw to create a perfectly straight edge. After that, I remove it from the jig, use that freshly straightened edge to rip the other side parallel. And if you don't have a planer, no problem. You can always start with S4S material that's already milled and skip a few of these steps. With the maple milled, it's time to clean everything up. I start by sanding the pieces through the grits, 80, then 120, and finishing at 220. After that, I cut the edging to final length at the miter saw. Once the sizing is done, I move on to installation. I apply wood glue along the edge, pre-drilled to prevent splitting, and then secure the maple using finish nails. Taking the extra time to pre-drill keeps the materials clean and prevents any surprises. After the glue sets, I trim the edging back flush with the surface and give everything a final sanding up to 220 grit. This is where the project really starts to look finished. With the edging complete, I give the tops a final sanding to 220 grit. This levels the joints and gets the surface ready for finish. With the tops fully sanded, I can move on to cutting the groove for the T-track. To keep the cut perfectly straight, I clamp down a guide and use a router with a 3/4 inch straight bit. I'm making 2 passes here rather than removing all the material at once. This keeps the cut cleaner, reduces tear out, and puts less strain on the router. The goal is to dial in the depth so the T-track sits just slightly below the surface. That way it won't interfere with workpieces sliding across the bench. Once the groove is cut, the T-track can be installed. I position the track, pre-drill the mounting holes, and fasten it down with screws. With everything fitted, it's time for finish. I'm applying 4 coats of shellac to protect the surface. Between coats, I lightly sand with 220 grit. This scuffs the surface, removes any dust nibs, and helps the next coat bond properly. Shellac builds quickly, dries fast, and leaves a really clean, warm look on the wood. And here's how the tops turned out after the finish. The surface is smooth, protected, and ready for the next phase of the build. With the bench tops complete, it's time to set the miter saw into position. Getting the height dialed in here is critical so the saw table sits perfectly flush with the work surface. To fine-tune the adjustment, I'm using playing cards as shims. Playing cards work great for this because the thickness increments are extremely small. which makes precise leveling much easier. Once everything is aligned and sitting exactly where I want it, I pre-drilled the mounting holes and secure the saw using 1/4 inch by 2 inch lag bolts. This keeps the saw locked down solid with no movement during cuts. To improve dust collection, I'm installing an automatic vacuum switch. This allows the vacuum to turn on and off with the saw, which is incredibly convenient and keeps the workspace cleaner. I'll link this switch along with the other items used in this build down in the description. Now when the saw powers on, the vacuum starts automatically, and after the saw shuts off, the vacuum continues running for a few seconds to clear any remaining dust in the line. And with that, the workbench is complete. Everything is dialed in, the tops are finished, and the saw is fully integrated into the station. This build took some time, but the end result is a clean, functional workspace that should last for years. If you enjoyed the build, don't forget to like and subscribe.